Welcome, everyone. Let's find our centered seat. And I'm sitting cross-legged, but please feel free to stretch your legs out. There are times when I choose not to sit like this because of my hip or knee or any reason. So if this isn't good for you today, just stretch those legs out and find a seat that does work. And we'll bring our hands down onto the legs somewhere. Let's take a deep breath in, drawing the shoulders up by the ears. And exhale, release. Let the eyes softly close. And we'll bring our awareness inward. Just noticing our state of mind in this moment. How our heart is feeling. And just scan down through the body, noticing any areas that we want to be extra gentle with today. And as always, if I'm suggesting a movement pattern or a pose that doesn't agree with your body for whatever reason, please feel free to modify or just sit that one out. Let's begin to take some deeper Ujjayi breaths, filling the area around the heart center on the inhale, and drawing the core muscles in slightly on the exhale. And let's see if we can do these deeper breaths while keeping the eyes soft, the jaw soft, the shoulders relaxed. These deeper breaths massage the vital organs. It's amazing how much benefit we can get just from these deeper breaths and how easy it is to forget to do it. Let's keep these deeper breaths flowing through. Let's let our right ear tip toward our right shoulder, letting both shoulders drop down and taking some deep breaths into the left side of the neck. And let's gently float the neck back to neutral. Release the left ear to the left shoulder. Breathing deep now into that right side. Let's bring the chin back to neutral. Then let's once again tip right ear toward right shoulder. Walk those left fingertips out to the left a few inches now, and we'll breathe here, maybe hovering the fingertips off the mat and just inviting a little deeper stretch into the left side of the neck. Let's gently release, coming back to center. Let the left ear tip to the left shoulder. Walk those right fingertips out to the right. Nice deep breaths. And back to center. Let's bring both hands onto the knees again. Eyes are soft. They can be open or closed. And let's gently circle the torso, just lightly round and round. Might be a small circle or might be bigger, depending on how your lower back feels and how your hips are feeling. Keep these deeper breaths flowing through. And change direction. Let's circle our way back to the center. When we get there, let's stretch one leg out and then the other, bringing the legs into a V shape. Please feel free to put a prop under the back of the hips if that's helpful. Let's rub the palms together, creating some warmth in the hands. And then we'll take that warmth and just rub it into the legs. I wanted to focus in on self-care this morning, which is always an element of the practice for me. And this is one of the movement patterns that I find is really conducive to that feeling of self-care. So as we rub that warmth into the legs, just send the body a feeling of loving kindness and gratitude. And just take a moment to balance out the left and the right sides. And coming back to the center, let's take our fingertips to either side of us. We'll take our right arm on an inhale, reach it up. And on the exhale, lean across. And we'll windmill the other way, reaching up through the left arm and exhaling to lean back and forth. Inhaling to lift and exhaling to reach. If that movement pattern's too quick for your body this morning, just not feeling it, slow down and take a couple breaths on each side. Let's do one more to each side. On our next breath in, let's reach straight up through both arms. Exhale, float the fingertips forward, let the back round. We'll take a couple breaths in this gentle forward fold. Please feel free to bend the knees so that we're hinging at the hips, and let the heart soften. Then deepening the breath, let's walk the hands back into center. Let's bring the feet in closer and let's roll down onto our back. Once we come down onto the mat, let's bring our knees in closer to the belly, putting a hand on each knee, and let's rock from side to side, massaging the back. And rocking back to center, let's release our arms to our sides, and let's begin a bicycle movement through the legs. This not only helps to invigorate and warm up the legs, improving our circulation, but having the feet up is great for the immune system. So keep that in mind as we stretch the toes up toward the sky. Let's imagine we're pressing the pedals of our great big bicycle, so the balls of the feet are activated as we push upward. Then let's change direction, pushing up through the heels instead. Notice if the shoulders want to get involved in some way. And just let the shoulders rest. And let's bring those knees back in close to the belly and just give yourself a hug here. We'll place the hands back on the knees and push the knees slightly away. Then let's begin a little tiny circle with the knees round and round. And we'll feel that as we circle the knees around, we're massaging the sacrum, the very lowest part of the back. So the hands are just there to provide some guidance for the legs. They don't have to stay right on the knees if you want to experiment with a little bigger circle. But keep the jaw soft. And let's change direction. And let's spiral our way back to the center. Let's place the soles of the feet on the mat, reaching the arms out wide to either side. Let's begin to gently rock the knees, little to one side, little to the other side. And we'll gradually make this a little bigger movement as we go along to the extent that feels good to your hips and back. Find your own pace, your own flow, taking your time. The next time that the knees tip to one side, just pause there, breathing. Turn your face away from the knees, so we're looking at our arm that's resting on the ground, and just open and close that hand a few times. And let the hand rest, bring the head back to neutral. Let's draw the knees up to center, and on an exhale, tip them the other way. Turning our gaze away from the knees, looking at that arm resting back behind us, and just open and close that hand a few times. Just energizing the joints of the fingers. And let the hand and arm rest. Let the knees come back to the center. Let's bring our arms in closer to our side and place the hands right on the lower abdomen. Let's resume our deeper Ujjayi breath. As we exhale, let's draw the abdominal muscles down and away from the hands, and let's press the lower back into the mat. As we breathe in, we'll just let the natural curve of the spine return, let the belly soften. So we'll exhale, draw those core muscles down, press the lower back toward the mat. Inhale, soften, release, natural curve returns. Let's take several breaths this way. We can keep a little energy in the feet. That will help us to activate the core and hold steady. Let's take 2 more breaths, just like this. And we'll let the pelvis tilt back to neutral, still keeping the hands where they are. We'll press lightly into the feet. We're not going to let the feet or knees move. Let's tilt the pelvis now east to west. Knees stay steady, so it's not going to be a huge movement, but we'll feel one crest of the pelvis dipping down and then the other, side to side. And let's gradually rock back to a neutral pelvis once again. Once we get there, we'll rest the arms at our sides, getting ready for a dynamic bridge pose. Feel free to just jump right in if you already know that movement pattern. We'll begin by pressing the lower back into the mat pushing into the feet, and then we'll lift the hips and roll up into bridge, one vertebrae at a time. This will be our inhale. As we exhale, let's curl down vertebrae by vertebrae until at last the natural curve of the spine returns. So we're pressing the lower back into the mat, peeling up vertebrae by vertebrae, lifting through the heart, and on the exhale, curling down. Again, take your time with this movement pattern. It's more important to feel each little vertebrae and to see if we can articulate the vertebrae rather than making sure it's one breath, one movement. So I'd rather have us slow down and feel that articulation, even if it means taking a few breaths to come up and a few breaths to come down. And it may feel that a big piece of the back just kind of comes up in a block. And if that's the case, just slow it down even a little more. This movement pattern will help to build that suppleness in the spine, but it could take a little time. Let's do a couple more. And one more time. Once we roll down this next time around, let's stretch one leg out long and then the other. And we'll imagine that we're pushing through the heels toward the wall down in front of us. Let's take our arms up overhead. And as we inhale, let's stretch through the fingertips and push through the heels. And on the exhale, just relax everything right in place. So we'll inhale, stretch, hug into the glutes, push through the heels. Exhale, relax everything. Let's do that little stretch 2 more times. And one more. Then bringing our arms back down to our sides, let's place the soles of the feet on the mat once more, finding our neutral sacrum. From there, let's take our right leg up to the sky and clasp our hands behind the back of that thigh. Soften through the shoulders, and let's push upward through the heel, then point through the toes, then the heel and the toes, back and forth. Then let's circle that ankle and change direction. Then letting the ankle rest, let's bring the knee in close, clasping hands over the top of that shin. Stretch the left leg out long, let it rest on the mat. And let's begin to rock this right thigh from side to side. Oh yeah. Anybody who did yoga lattes with me yesterday is like, oh, that muscle. Yeah, that feels really good. Let's rock that knee back to center. Place the sole of the right foot on the mat and let's stretch the left leg straight up to the sky. Let's clasp our hands behind the back of that left thigh and we'll push through the heel and point the toes back and forth, just looking for that stretch through the left hamstring. Keeping the shoulders soft. Then let's circle that ankle and change direction. And coming back to center, let's bend the knee, clasping hands over the shin. Stretch that right leg out long, let it rest. And we'll rock this left thigh side to side. And bringing that knee back to center, let's draw the right knee up as well, placing the hands on both knees again. Let's keep the thighs close together, and we'll exhale and draw the knees closer into the belly. Then push the knees away from each other and bring them back together again up over the hips. So we'll exhale, draw the knees straight down close into the belly. Inhale, push them away and together again over the hips. So we're tracing a line down the center of our imaginary circle, and then we're tracing the outside edges of that circle. And again, just find your own rhythm here, massaging a little deeper into the hips. The hands probably won't stay right on the knees, but they're there to help provide stability and support. Let's do one more big circle. Then change direction. One more full circle. And let's stretch both legs up to the sky. Just rest the arms, wiggle the toes, flex those feet. Let's place our palms down at our side, palms down. Keep the feet together. We're gonna reach both legs straight away from the torso. You'll feel your core engage. And then circle the feet away from each other. Bring them together again up over the hips. We'll reach them straight down toward the mat. It might be an inch, it might be a foot. Open, circle back up over the hips. Feel free to take this farther if you want to go deeper into the core today, or keep it light. Torso doesn't move. You can push into the mat slightly through the palms. Feel the glute muscles activating. We can get them involved. Let's do two more. And one more. And bring the soles of the feet back down to the mat. Reach the arms out wide and just rock those knees from side to side. And rocking the knees back to center, we'll just plant the soles of the feet on the mat. Bring the arms in close to your sides. And for a few breaths, we'll inhale and reach the arms in a big arc over the crown of the head. And exhale, just arc them back down at your sides. Let's do that a few times. Inhaling to reach. Exhaling to return. As we reach, let's see if we can keep the ribs slightly down so that we're not overarching the back. And instead of arching, feel for length. Let's do one more. As the arms return to our sides, let's bring one leg up and then the other so that both legs are again just stretching straight up to the sky. And let's bring our arms up too, palm facing palm, and root the shoulders down close to the mat. As we breathe in, let's reach the right arm and the left leg away from each other. And on the exhale, return to center. Then the other side, inhale, reach away. Exhale, return. So again, we might reach away a foot. We might reach a really long way. What's important is seeing if we can coordinate the movement. So this is the one for our brain this morning. And this is also great for rebalancing the imbalances that we all have on our right to left side of our back. Most of us, just by virtue of being right-handed or left-handed, will have a little imbalance. Many of us drive, so we're using the right side differently than the left. So bringing things back to balance while building some core. So let's do a couple more. Just for fun, if you'd like to do a few reaching arms and legs away, feel free. We'll do about 3 more, whichever variation you're choosing. Once we're complete, let's bring the knees in close. Give yourself a big hug. Nice deep breaths. And let's gently roll onto one side, coming through a fetal pose. And from there, using our hands to help, let's press upward, coming into a tabletop position. Please feel free to put something underneath your knees for a little extra padding. You can also put a blanket under the wrists if you find that helpful. So we'll come into our tabletop, hands and knees, and begin by taking a few breaths in cat-cow. So we'll inhale and arch the back, and exhale to round the back. Then coming back to a neutral spine, let's do a few side bends. So we'll turn to look at one hip and bring that hip forward a little bit. Deep breath in. Exhale back to center. Inhale toward the other hip. And exhale center. Back and forth. Keep the core slightly lifted. Let's do one more to each side. Once we're back to center, let's release the hips toward the heels, coming into a child's pose. Take a few breaths here, stretching forward through the arms, reaching those fingertips forward. So we're getting lots of length in the spine. Then on an in-breath, let's rock forward, coming into our tabletop. Exhale, round the back and reach the hips back toward child's pose. Let's do this little vinyasa a few times. Inhaling forward, scooping up into tabletop. Exhaling, pulling the tailbone back into child's pose. We're getting a nice stretch through the spine each time. The next time we rise up into tabletop, let's pause there, spreading our fingers out on the mat. Let's curl the toes under, and on an exhale, push up into downward facing dog. And let's take a few breaths in downward dog, bending one knee and then the other. We're just walking out through the feet. Let's give the head a little shake here too. Then on an exhale, let's bring the knees back down to the mat. Scoop the heart and arch the back on an inhale. And we'll exhale back to child's pose, turning the palms up, taking a few deep breaths here, opening and closing the hands. And let's turn the palms down toward the mat. We'll inhale, scoop our way back up into tabletop. Curl the toes and exhale up into downward facing dog for about 3 breaths. On our next exhale, let's bring the knees down to the mat. Inhale, arch the back. And exhale, round the back, returning to child's pose. And let's do this vinyasa a few times. So scoop our way up into tabletop. Curl the toes, exhale to downward dog. Lingering for a few breaths. And coming back onto hands and knees. Taking an inhale to draw the heart forward. And exhale into child's pose. We'll do a few more of these. Please feel free to go at your own pace and move more quickly or linger in the poses that feel good. Let's meet up in downward dog sometime in the next 3 or 4 breaths. And then from our downward dog, let's walk the feet toward the hands and the hands toward the feet, coming into a forward fold. So our weight will be on our feet. Let's relax the arms, give the head a shake here, looking for gravity to help us out with some traction on the spine. Just breathing and feeling for that length. And let's gently sway the torso here, side to side, just letting the arms drape. Then swaying back to neutral, let's roll up slowly, 1 vertebrae at a time, stacking each vertebra one by one. Head and neck come up last of all. Let's locate our straps. We'll do a release for the shoulders. Hold the strap pretty wide. And let's have the feet together. If you get bored just standing like I sometimes do, you're welcome to dip into chair pose just for fun. We'll reach the arms up overhead and then start to lower them a little bit back behind the shoulder. And let's just go up and down that amount a few times. So if you want to dip down into chair and lift back up, that's perfectly fine too. Or just breathe and hold steady in Tadasana. Then little by little, let's start to dip the arms further down. And you may want to open up your hold on the strap a little bit for that. Let's see if we can keep the ribs drawing inward. It's going to be tempting to let those lower ribs jut out. Let's have a little core engagement here so the ribs stay in. Then gradually we may bring the arms even further down. So we're drawing up on the inhale and to our low point on the exhale. Nice. Like a slow motion jump rope contest here. The next time the arms come down, let's soften and release. And let's roll those shoulders way forward. And just take a breath there, or 2 or 3, into that open space in the upper back. Then gently, slowly, let's roll the shoulders way out so that the shoulder blades are hugging together and the heart is very open. And take a couple of breaths into that space. Then let's roll the shoulders forward and roll the shoulders back. Just back and forth, exhaling them forward and inhaling them back. 2 more. And 1 more. Then just let the shoulders come to a neutral place. Let's bring the strap around so it's out in front of us. And we'll hold it a little less than shoulder distance apart. Again, feel free to drop into chair if you want the legs to get involved here. And we'll just pull the strap apart, breathing into the space between the shoulder blades. If you're in chair, put your weight in your heels, hugging the knees together. And soften. Let's take our strap into our left hand. We'll reach that left arm up overhead and then bend that left elbow. The right hand will come around and find the other end of that strap and just gently pull down on it. Here too, let's draw those ribs inward, engaging the core just a little bit. Then we'll soften the grip with our right hand, releasing that right hand. Take the left arm out to the left, deep breath in. Exhale, cross the body. We'll bring the right hand up just above that elbow and pull the whole arm in close. Then let's turn our gaze over that left shoulder and take a couple of deep breaths. Then let's release. We'll take the strap in the right hand. Just let that left arm release down and roll that left shoulder back a few times. And let it soften. Then let's take our right arm up overhead. Bend that right elbow. We'll reach the left hand back, find that strap, and just gently pull down on it, drawing the ribs in. We'll lift tall through the crown of the head, but keep the core engaged. Let's soften with our left hand, releasing the left hand's hold on the strap. Take the right arm out to the right, deep breath in. Exhale, cross that arm over in front of the body. Left hand will come up just above the elbow and pull the arm close. Let's breathe and look to the right, breathing into that space behind the right shoulder blade. And soften, take the strap into the left hand again. We'll let that right arm release and just roll that right shoulder back a few times. And let the shoulder drop down. Let's remove our strap. We'll just place it somewhere down on the mat. Coming back into Tadasana pose. Let's inhale and reach up to the sky. Hands to the heart on the exhale. Let's do that one more time. Deep breath in, grow taller. Exhale, hands to the heart. This time, let's inhale and reach up. Hands to the knees on the exhale, bending the knees. And we'll take a few breaths in standing cat-cow. So we'll inhale and arch the back, and exhale, round the back. Just finding a range of motion that feels good to your spine. Then finding a neutral spine, let's bend the knees. Inhale, reach the arms up. We'll hold here. We're in our chair pose. Weight is in the heels. Let's take another breath in. Then with the exhale, let's fold forward. Deep breaths here. Let's walk the hands down onto the mat and walk the feet back. So we're returning to our downward facing dog. Let's bend the right knee a lot. Push into that left heel. Soften through the heart. Then bend the left knee a lot. Push into the right heel. Soften through the heart. Then coming back to a neutral downward facing dog. Let's reach the right leg back behind us. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, set that foot down between the hands, and we'll bring our back knee down as well. So we're coming into a kneeling position. If you have a cushion you want to put under your knee, that's great. Or you can fold your mat over if you like. We'll come into a high kneeling position. The feet are hugging together toward each other. We'll take our left hand across to the outside of that right knee and just press into it lightly. Let's take our right arm up, and we can just hold steady here or lean toward the left. If you're leaning, on an inhale, reach straight up again, and let's all exhale the hands down to the mat, and we'll step the right foot back, returning to downward dog for a few breaths. Next inhale, let's reach the left leg back behind us. Exhale, step it between the hands. We'll bring the right knee to the mat. Let's find our alignment. Walking the hands up to that front thigh. So we want to be nice and tall right over the hips. The right hand will come to that left knee and we'll press the knee into the hand slightly. Let's inhale the left arm straight up, and we can hold steady here or lean a little bit across to the right. If you're leaning, on the inhale, reach straight up again, and let's all exhale, hands down to the mat. Breathing as we go, let's push back into downward facing dog. 3 full breaths. Then on our exhale, let's gently bring the knees down to touch the mat. Touch the big toes together and walk the knees apart. And let's release the hips back into our child's pose again. Deepening the breath. Let's come on back up into our tabletop position. We'll keep the left knee where it is, but bring the right foot out in front again. It's a little different way to come into our pose. And bring the hands up onto that front knee. This time from here, let's bring the hands to the hips, lifting tall through the crown of the head. We can hold steady, hugging into that left glute, or lean a little bit forward, bringing that front knee out over the toes, then pushing into the foot to come back to center. So we'd lean in and push back. If you're doing the moving version of the pose, let's do it one more time. Then coming back to center, left hand comes across to the outside of that right knee, right arm comes up. We'll hold steady here or lean to the left. If you're leaning on an inhale, reach straight up again. Exhale, come on down, fingertips to the mat. We'll step that right knee back. And breathing as we go, we'll bring the left knee forward. Let's find our balance here. Bringing the hands to the hips, either holding steady, lifting through the heart, hugging into that right glute, or moving. So we lean a little forward through that front knee and exhale, push back to center. One more time. Then holding steady, we'll bring the right hand across, pushing the hand into the knee and the knee into the hand. Let's inhale that left arm up and hold steady or lean to the right. With an inhale, let's reach straight up. Exhale, fingertips down to the mat. Breathing as we go. We'll bring that left knee back and release into child's pose or puppy pose, taking some deep breaths into the back. And deepening the breath. Let's make our way around back onto our backs. And when we get there, let's draw the right knee in close, clasping the hands over that right shin, stretching that left leg away and letting it rest on the mat. As we exhale, let's pull the thigh in closer. And as we inhale, we'll use a little bit of our leg strength to push the shin up into the palms. So we'll use our arms on the exhale, pull the thigh closer. And on the inhale, use the thigh to push the hands away. Like a slow motion hydraulic press here. Drawing in, pushing away, back and forth. And we'll find some middle ground and just rest the left hand on the outside of that right knee. Take the right arm out to the right, resting that right shoulder on the mat. And on an exhale, let's twist a little bit to the left. We want to keep that right shoulder blade on the mat. And let's hold here, tuning in to our stronger exhales. And let's gently, slowly bring that knee back to center. Place the sole of the right foot on the mat. Draw the left knee in close and clasp the hands over that shin. Then stretch the right leg out long. We'll exhale, pull the left thigh closer. Inhale, push it away some amount. Just back and forth with the breath. Great little stretch for the glute, back of the hamstring. And again, finding that middle ground, we'll just place the right hand on the outer left knee. Let the left arm release to the left. On an exhale, let's twist gently to the right. Again, just keeping that left shoulder blade on the mat. Let the eyes soften. Let the jaw rest. Begin to lengthen out the exhales. Gently, slowly, let's draw the knee back to center. Place the sole of both feet on the mat. Reach the arms out wide. Walk the feet out a little wider, maybe as wide as the edges of the mat. And just begin to tip the knees to one side. Exhale. On an inhale, bring them to center. And exhale, tip the other way. Back and forth. If you like, you can add a little neck release to this windshield wiper movement. So we would turn the face in the opposite direction of the knees. Sometimes to me that feels just dreamy. Sometimes it feels like too much work. You decide if that's going to be helpful. And let's go one more time to each side. And gently floating back to center. If there's any other movement pattern that would help you to round out your practice today, please take the next few moments for that. And if you're feeling ready for Shavasana, just stretch the legs out long. Shavasana doesn't always feel great to one's back. And if that's the case for you today, please feel free to leave the knees bent, soles of the feet on the mat. You can just let the knees rest on each other. That feels like a better pose for you today. Let's do a couple of big chewing movements with the jaw. Then let the jaw rest. Let the shoulders drop down. Imagine the eyes behind the eyelids just growing softer, kinder, clearer, because we're letting the eyes rest. Let everything go. Imagine just like a beautiful sponge in the ocean, just letting all the benefits of today's practice just permeate the whole being. And let's bring the awareness back to the heart. Just noticing how you feel in mind and body and spirit. Noticing any changes from when we started our practice today. And let's start to wiggle the fingers and the toes. Taking time to stretch in any way that feels good to you. And when you're ready, gently roll to one side, coming through fetal position, and making your way to a centered seat. When you get there, just close the eyes, placing the hands right on the heart center and bowing the head to the heart. May all the benefits of your practice stay with you throughout the day and radiate outward to everyone whose lives you touch. May we all have hope, joy, love, light, and laughter. Thank you all so much for being here today. Namaste.
Namaste.
Meow.
Namaste. Huh?
That's right. I heard that, cat. That was a definite namaste.